They are in a box, and they seem intent on, getting out the tape and locking themselves inside of it. Why?
Well, first of all, they put themselves in this box. This should be a very, very easy question for somebody like Senator Cassidy, who voted actually to convict Donald Trump in his second impeachment and therefore disqualify him. But, here's the dilemma. They've been here so many times before. They didn't walk away from him after Helsinki, after Charlottesville. They didn't walk, away from him after the insurrection. And so the big question is, even though they understand that he's electoral poison, even though they recognize that he is now toxic politically, is this going to be simply temporary? And look, the timing of Trump's announcement is awfully interesting, because if there had been a genuine red wave, this would have been politically smart, right? He would have taken credit for it. The wind would be at his back. He would get in before his opponents. He would beat the Department of Justice. But given the fact that he's got this big loser label slapped on his forehead, the announcement tomorrow makes a lot less sense. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Republicans react, and whether finally, after all of these years and all of these outrages, they decide to turn the page. And until they do, I guess I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, Charlie, just to follow up quickly, they're not trying to break up with him because he almost got Mike Pence killed, or because he did grave harm to our democracy, or because, as president, he sought to weaponize the Justice Department, the IRS, the military, and everything else to hold on to power and control and punish his enemies. They're trying to break up with him because they lost so many offices and so many times with him. They lost the Georgia special. They lost the 2018 midterms. They lost the 2020 presidential. They lost the 2020 Senate. They lost what they thought was going to be a red wave that would finally cleanse all of their political sins, and standing by him. And you got to go back to Access Hollywood, when the first group of elected Republicans said, in for a dime, in for a dollar, I'm standing by my man. They're not walking away today because they're grossed out by him. They're walking away today because he's a loser.
No, and I think this is important to underline. This is not about principle. This is not about a return of conscience. This is not about a restoration of their courage. This is just simply watching politicians whose minds have been marvelously focused by losing an election, by the prospect of losing power. And it's dawning on them that this is going to happen again in 2024. Look, election deniers were defeated all across the country in every single swing state, as you mentioned. Well, that is at the heart of this Trump revenge campaign that he's going to announce tomorrow night. That's what he's got. This is what he is going to demand as the litmus test for Republicans going forward. And suddenly, people are realizing that extremism and election denial, in fact, are not popular. Look, as long as they thought he was winning, they were willing to look the other way time and time again. When he called Mitch McConnell's wife Coco Chow, when he dabbled in anti-Semitism, as he insulted others, they figured, hey, it doesn't matter because we're going to win anyway. Now I think they're having second thoughts about that. But again, will they actually pull the trigger? Will they move ahead? Will they actually look in the mirror and say, look, this election turned out to be about Dobbs, denialism, extremism, and Donald Trump, and we need to do something about those fundamentals? Or will they simply form a circular firing squad and try to blame people like Mitch McConnell for it?
I've spent time in the Republican Party. I'm going to predict they'll go with curtain number 2. But Michael Bender, let me show you something that Congressman Jamie Raskin said over the weekend on CBS. It actually has some echoes of something Lindsey Graham said during the Republican primary contest in 2015 and 16.
When I was over in the Senate with the team, I told the Republicans there that this was our opportunity to deal with the problem of Donald Trump, who had committed high crimes and misdemeanors against the people of the United States. And they needed to act on behalf of the country and the Constitution. But if they didn't, he would become their problem. And at this point, Donald Trump is the problem of the Republican Party, and he may destroy their party.
This was an interesting inflection point for Congressman Raskin to bring back Michael Benner, because I remember, of course, Mitch McConnell's sort of impassioned indict him so I don't have to impeach him speech on the floor. But even before that, there was a conservative effort. I remember conservative super lawyer Charles Cooper wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal sort of giving them legal cover for voting to impeach Donald Trump and be rid of him finally. You had the 10 brave Republicans who I think all but a couple have been purged from the House of Representatives. Liz Cheney, of course, now the most famous of that group, who voted to impeach. And then you had just a handful fall far short of what you needed to get rid of him. Do you sense that anyone is looking back at that moment that Congressman Raskin cites with any second guessing?
Oh, without doubt. But I will say there is another side of that coin. Even people who thought Raskin had a point back then that Trump deserved to be impeached within the Republican Party. Privately, a lot of Republicans were concerned about taking that, exactly what Raskin is saying here, is taking that choice away from voters and by preventing him from running again. That kind of rationale, in large part, was what Trump seized on to run successfully in the first place. And this is an important point to sort of pull it back to what you and Charlie were talking about here. I mean, when you think about, at least the way I think about the Trump status in the party, the Republican Party's kind of three layers. The donor class has long kind of turned against Trump, and we see that time and again in the very smart third guest here today, Ashley Parker's story this morning has another donor from Virginia saying that she wants DeSantis or someone else other than Trump. The second level there is the elected officials, and we're seeing some fresh cracks in that foundation, whether it's the Cassidy clip you played, or even some new members that are coming in on this in this new midterm election. The third layer here, and this is the important one to understand why Trump is still the front runner, are the voters. And Trump has anywhere between a third and 40% of the party right now that are so loyal to him, either out of respect. They say he's voiced their concerns like no one else has before, or a kind of oddly self-blame with folks who, Trump has turned all of these investigations, describes them as political hoaxes, right? He says that at every single rally, they're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. His voters have internalized that, and they have his back. So even, I have a story up in the New York Times today, even voters at his rally, Trump rally goers, will tell you point blank that he's not the best bet for Republicans to win in 2024, but in the very next breath will say they're surely going to vote for him over anyone else who runs.